Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session of TLC. We have a nice group here, and they will be presenting on using technology to drive honor society success. Today, we have joining us Dr. Woods, Dr. Ivy, Katherine Rosenhammer, and Katherine Daniels. Take it, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ivy to get the session started. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deb. Welcome everyone to our presentation today. I will act as the moderator for this session, and I'm reminding everyone our chat, open up your chat box if you haven't already, and if you have any questions throughout the presentation, post them in the chat. We'll pick those up and address those after the presenters speak. We're going to jump into our exciting presentation today, and first up is Kat Daniels, our Golden Key Chapter President. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you, Karen. Hello all, welcome to our TLC conference. We hope that you learned something new from it and that you can leave feeling informed. I'll be explaining some things about our online chapter today and how we were able in our first year of being an online chapter. Yeah, you can go ahead with the next slide, sorry. To make it so successful. I'm currently a full-time student with Ashford seeking my bachelor's degree in business administration. I have been Ashford's Golden Key chapter president for going on 2 years now, and I will be just touching on some of the history of Golden Key, our specific chapter history, and what we've been doing this past year. To start, Golden Key International Honor Society originally began at Georgia State University in 1977. Golden Key is celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. Mr. Brad Rainey, who is pictured above here with me, is the founder and CEO of Golden Key International Honor Society and also currently the executive director. He has helped found over 400 chapters internationally with that number consistently growing. Every year, Golden Key gives out scholarships to deserving Golden Key members and awards to chapters based on the amount of service that they've done throughout the year. Next slide, please. Thank you. That one. There we go. Ashford University chapter first began in 2010. From 2010 to 2012, we've been in good standing as a chapter. In 2013, we went beyond that to win Silver Chapter Award from 2014 to 2016. While operating entirely from the Clinton, Iowa campus, our chapter received Gold Standard and won the Key Award as well, which is the most prestigious award offered within Golden Key. They were able to obtain this high standard by having meetings and events on campus. In fall of 2016, when Golden Key chapter functionality transitioned to San Diego, we became a fully online chapter. Our chapter has attended conferences in New York City, New York, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Chicago, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri, New Orleans, Louisiana, Tucson, Arizona, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Australia. I am the first online only president of our chapter. When Dr. Woods first called me to serve as the chapter president, I honestly didn't know what I was really getting myself into. Following up 3 very successful Golden Key presidents, I felt like if I didn't have and uphold high standards for the chapter, then I would kind of be letting all of the other presidents and chapter officers down. So they had already worked really hard to get our chapter to gold and key status within Golden Key, and I certainly did not want to be the one to break the tradition. Next slide, please. So in the beginning, our biggest challenge was discovering how to function at a high level as a chapter while almost never having any members meet face-to-face. We had to figure out the best way to facilitate collaboration with one another, which first meant we had to figure out the best ways to communicate with one another. This involved online trainings, online teleconference calls, communicating with regional directors and the Golden Key home office in Georgia, and coordinating efforts as a chapter for the chapter by our officers and members. All of this being done across thousands of miles. Pictured here is Kathy in Fort Worth, Texas at the time. I was visiting family in Kansas and Missouri in this picture, and Dr. Woods was in his home in Davenport, Iowa. In the beginning, we used Adobe Connect for our meetings. We were not using video at this time, so in these pictures, we're not using Adobe. Adobe worked basically just as a conference calling service for us. We ran into a few technical difficulties with Adobe, whether it was connectivity issues, specific user or browser issues, or just noise interference. We saw a few problems using Adobe from the beginning. With so many decisions to make and processes and standards to uphold, though, time is of the essence, especially in the short times that we are all available to meet at the same times and days. Finally, after hours of work auditioning a lot of different software packages, phone conferencing softwares, and applications, we were able to narrow down what we really wanted to use and what we needed from these softwares and why. Next slide, please. Thank you. Here are just some of the few different softwares and apps that we tried out before finally finding the right fit for our chapter. Using and trying these technologies, we strove to reach chapter standards this year. With these technologies, we can also uphold the 3 pillars of Golden Key, which are service, leadership, and academics. These 3 pillars keep not only our chapter going, but our members going as well. They are imperative to our members, our chapter's success, and ultimately the success of the Honor Society as a whole. Using the following technologies, any online chapter can be successful. Next slide, please. As I mentioned before, in the beginning, we did use Adobe Connect most often. Cell phones, texting, and email were also used. However, now we have Zoom at our disposal, which we are very grateful for. And Kathy will now be explaining what makes this technology so important to our chapter.
Thank you, Kat.
Yep.
Hello, my name is Katherine Rosenhammer, and I am the Ashford Golden Key Chapter Vice President. Last year, I filled the position of Vice President of Membership Recruitment and enjoyed representing our chapter at the annual Golden Key International Summit in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am a double major student in journalism and mass communications, along with English. Next slide, please. It is important for us as an online student organization to establish a personal connection and a way to discuss and coordinate member events to meet national chapter requirements. As a chapter, we only physically meet once or twice a year for summits and leadership events. We rely on social media sites such as our Facebook page and online meetings to plan and discuss chapter objectives. Next slide, please. Our Facebook page allows us to connect with other members, promote events, and celebrate our newest members with our annual new member recognition event video. We also utilize email and instant messaging to correspond on timely information, and our website to display event photos, awards, and information about Golden Key. Next slide, please. One of our primary methods of communication is online meetings. Accessibility, straightforward pricing, and clear communications are vital. Out of all the online meeting apps, software, and websites we have tried, such as Adobe Connect, Blue Button, and Zoom, Zoom has been our favorite for several reasons. Zoom is very user-friendly. It does not take much to set up an account and maneuver through the various functions. Scheduling meetings in advance or with short notice is very easy from a desktop, cell phone, or tablet. Zoom works with Outlook, Google, and iCloud calendars. It is the most accessible platform for Android, iOS, Mac, and PC users. There is no cost to download and no cost for meetings unless there are over 100 participants and are over 40 minutes long. There is also a call-in conference number available for those who are not video presentable. Next slide, please. We cannot list all the amazing tasks and resources Zoom has available because there are just too many. However, some of our favorite most used functions are screen sharing, file sharing, whiteboard collaboration, and video chat. There is also a cross-platform messaging or instant messaging. One of the main reasons we continue to use Zoom is because of the vast majority of online college students, or reasons online meetings are used is because of disability and impairments. On a personal level, I am hearing impaired, and I appreciate the sleekness of Zoom. The HD video functions allow for me to lip read and take part in meetings I would normally have to sit out. The HD audio is clear, and there is a chat section and closed captioning. Aside from full screen gallery view, Zoom also has an active speaker view, allowing for understanding that is more precise. If it were not for the visual and enhanced audio functions, myself and many others living with a disability would not be able to participate. Next slide, please. The benefits of online meeting face-to-face saves time and money and boosts member productivity. It allows for all members, regardless of disabilities and impairments, to collaborate from a distance and feel part of a larger cause. Teleconferencing face-to-face makes for a stronger member connection. Next slide, please. We developed our successful student collaboration on what Ashford University already created to enhance the connection of the student body by taking the issue of distance out of the scenario. Our Ashford Golden Key advisor, Dr. Woods, will further discuss our chapter's role as an online student organization and future goals to continue our success.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Kathy, for the kind introduction. Everyone, when we think about our function as a chapter and us being able to communicate with each other, this technology becomes very, very important for at least one reason. Our officers over the last year, they are located from the East Coast, Midwest, and then also the West Coast. And when you think about that, any of our officers who are coming to a meeting, or even our members who are coming to a meeting at 6 p.m. West Coast time, that's 9 p.m. East Coast time, and a meeting that goes for an hour. I mean, on the East Coast, they're all of a sudden at 10 p.m., where on the West Coast, they're only at 7 p.m. And so our course rooms are asynchronous, where this is synchronous. And so that can be a bit of a challenge, but it also gives us communication opportunities. And we have our three main opportunities that we must concentrate on. And the first one is between myself and the officers. And when I say myself, I'm the Golden Key advisor, but we also have another Golden Key advisor, which is Ben Gothi. The second opportunity is between the officers, advisors, and members. And we have several opportunities that of events that we have to plan, and things that we have to do so far as meetings are concerned, where we have to work with our members. And the third thing is between the chapter and the world. And what I mean by the world is, because we have members who are in the Virgin Islands, we have members that are in Hawaii, we have members that are spread across the United States, then it becomes vitally important that we be able to communicate with them. And then also, as was mentioned earlier in the presentation, we also have to communicate with the home office of Golden Key International Honor Society and keep them up to date or apprised of our activities, so that we can stay on track with the standards that we have to maintain and achieve. Next slide, please. What we do is triangulate between our chapter technology and our goals. And it was mentioned earlier that we have three pillars that we operate off of. All Golden Key chapters in the world, and we are all over the world, work through these three pillars. The first one is academics. All of our members must be in the top 15% of their class, and if they are a graduate student, then they must be in good standing with the school. Second one is leadership, where we do training, professional, oops, something happened. Okay, there we go. Anyway, we do professional training for our students to help them as chapter members, but also professional development for when they graduate and even in their current jobs. And then we have our service projects, and we usually perform 7 to 10 service projects a year. We have to video record those service projects, not video record, but take pictures of those service projects. And then we file all of our pictures and keep them on an account so that we can show those things to Golden Key Home Office later. Next slide, please. So when we think about more on triangulation and communication and the type of technologies that we're using, the thing that happens with the chapter advisor, myself, I have to communicate with Ben Gothi back and forth, because the first thing that we communicate on is our new member drive twice a year that we hold. And with that, we're also communicating with the home office of Golden Key International Honor Society to let them know which of our students are eligible to become members of Golden Key, and then have the home office at Golden Key send out an email to all of our eligible members to begin the sign-up process. And then, of course, the triangulation between the chapter officers and the members. Most of the communication does not come from myself or from Ben Gothi as my co-advisor to the members. Our top two chapter officers, Kathy Rosenhammer, our vice president, and then Kat Daniels, our chapter president, they send out all the communiques to the members about what's coming up with our events. Next thing is the technology in our triangulation, and now this becomes vitally important because when we're using the GEN system, which is a requirement by Golden Key, it's a specialized website where we update all of our members about what's happening with our chapter and upcoming events. We log pictures in there, we can log video in there, we can do chats in there, and if there's something wrong with that site and it goes down, then we also have our Facebook page where so far as our events are concerned, we put our new member recognition event on Facebook, and there's quite the process so far as making that work for us. And so another thing that we do is our using Microsoft Movie Maker, and the way that we do that is that each of us make our own videos, and then we send them to each other. We share them in Dropbox, which is a nice piece of technology, because a lot of times what happens is our files are too large to send through email. Even this slideshow that we put together for today, it was too large once it was finished for us to be able to send it through email. So we had to upload it to Dropbox and then have each of the members download it to their machine so that they could practice for the presentation. And so, it's an even larger file to do video files. And so that's a very, very important triangulation that we go through, and we'll go to the next slide, please. So when we look at our activities, the first thing that we have to do, and we usually do it back in the summer, is get together with the officers, and we start a planning process. And in the planning process, they start to pick which events, service events they want to participate in, what type of training they want to go through, and what type of presentations they would possibly want to give at conferences. And next thing that we have to do then is our implementation of those plans. And now it's harder, the planning process is a little bit more difficult, and the implementation process is a little bit more difficult than if we had a residential campus for our students to meet in a central location in a classroom like we did historically. The reason being is because almost none of our members are going to work together on a service project. Each of them in their state, in their community, will design a service project, and then they will partner with community members in their cities or towns, and then they will implement the service project, and then they send us the information, and we upload the information along with their pictures to Facebook, and also we save those for a video that we're going to make toward the end of the season. And then that's part of our results phase, and at the end of the season, we have to put together a report and send it to Golden Key International home office. And they have a team that reviews the report, and then they decide whether we have reached the good standing, the bronze level, the silver level, or the gold level so far as becoming a gold chapter, which is quite the honor. But then there's that final level that hardly any of the chapters seem to make. This year, the final level, 25 out of over 400 chapters worldwide made that level. And when we were at the Las Vegas conference this summer, we were just sitting there with our fingers crossed and hoping maybe we could do this and be successful once again like we were in past years. Now, when we think about when technology is important, here's a list of them. Next slide, please. Oh, one more slide. Okay, we have our membership drives, and we do those twice a year. Communication between advisors, Ben Gothi, he's in San Diego, I'm here in Iowa. where it's nice, shiny, and cold as all get out half the year. And then in conducting our chapter meetings, which is very, very important, recording chapter activities, creating videos for the new member recognition event. And you know, this past year, both times that we recorded our videos and we spliced them together using Microsoft Movie Maker and uploaded them to our Facebook page, and it showed all of our activities and everything. We had proof of what we were doing. At the end of it, we have this rolling credits. And here's the importance of that. When our members, and there's thousands of them, when our members see their name in the rolling credits, they seem to always contact us and say, I saw my name. And I mean, they're so happy. And the thing that's important about that is because they show their friends and they show their family members and they show anybody that they want to show it, I guess. But anyway, that's important for them receiving just that little extra bit of recognition in front of their peers, other students. The next to last thing is communications and presentations at conferences. You know, sometimes I present at the Golden Key conferences, but this year I was very, very fortunate because Kathy Rosenhammer and also Kat Daniels, they accepted the invitation to present at the international conference at Las Vegas this summer. And so we had difficulty at that conference, not because of us, because of the technology that they had at the conference wouldn't interface with our laptop, and I just happened to have an extra laptop, and we migrated all of our files over as we do throughout the year by uploading to Dropbox and then downloading them to my laptop, and then my laptop synced up with their video presentation hardware, and then we were able to go ahead and successfully give our presentation. And you know, that was the first time that I've ever partnered with students in a presentation, and now this is the second time in partnering with our students, which has been quite the honor to be able to do that. And then the last thing we have is the taking of pictures. Now, throughout this slideshow, you've seen plenty of pictures that we are using, and because that is the requirement with us with Golden Key, to be able to show that, yeah, this online chapter, we're not just getting together and then submitting reports and saying, yeah, we did all of this. We give them the proof. They review the proof along with the report that we supply them with, and then they make their decisions. Well, this year they made their decision again. And final slide, please. They let us know that we were gold chapter for the 4th year in a row, and that's as high as you can go. But on top of that, as they looked at all the chapters and deciding who would possibly be eligible to win their most prestigious award, they gave good consideration to us. At first they said no, and I was like, man, we did everything and we went above and beyond, which was a requirement. And then the reason why they said no is they said, well, they didn't get together for service projects, and all they did was partner with people. And then somebody in the Golden Key organization said, hey, look, they are an online chapter and they can't get together. So they were doing it in a way that works for them. And so we need to consider that. And after they considered that, they said, Ashford University's Golden Key International Chapter is the key chapter this year. And so we were one of the 25 schools who won the most prestigious award again. And that was the 4th year in a row. And so my hat is off to our officers, Kat and Kathy, and all the rest of our officers that we have that are across the United States. Bernard Sanders, who was in Florida. We also had Nika Cowens in California. We had Kat and Kathy down in Texas. We also had Terria Thomas in the Virgin Islands. Santana Galbraith down in Missouri. And we had Ben Gothi in California, and myself in Iowa, and Chris Greer down in Florida. So it was quite the feat. These guys pulled it out. And the last thing I want you to know about is that we were alerted that we were the first school with an online-only chapter to be able to earn that prestigious award, the Key Chapter Award. And so at this time, that ends our presentation. And on that very last slide, please. I I want you to know, I love this statement. Technology does change everything. So if you have any questions.
This is thank you to all of the team members, and also reminding everyone our chat box is open if you want to include any of your questions there. If all of our presenters could please open up your video as well. One of the first questions is, what are some obstacles that you face being in an online organization?
Ladies?
Who wants to go for it? Okay. Many obstacles. The biggest one that we faced was having so many different people across, the United States and, to some degree the world as well. So that was the biggest one that we faced. All of our members are spread out everywhere. This is an online only chapter, a mostly online school. And so we had to figure out a way to get people together to have the event so that we could actually meet the standards for our chapter. And we did it, obviously. And it mostly comes down to, we were able to do it through technology.
Thank you, Kat. And then speaking of technology, here's another question. How did technology change managing challenges of your virtual organization?
I can answer that. As I had stated in my segment, having a hearing impairment and a disability, I would normally not be able to participate in anything, like this if it weren't for technology. Technology has enabled myself, and I know many others, as Ashford has done as a school. A brick and mortar school is a difficult learning place for me, and being able to be part of a larger cause and participate in these activities and events with other students is invaluable for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Back on that, please. One of the difficulties for me and in working with that is I'm so used to operating the chapter in a traditional setting where I can walk around campus and talk to each person one-on-one, see their face, and be able to, solicit them about different events and everything that I'd like them to participate in and encourage them and everything. And so at first, before we started expanding our technological capabilities as a chapter, I'm just sending out emails. And then every once in a while, I'd make phone calls or try to ask people to take on projects. But then as we got into this later era of Adobe and then Zoom, being able to see each of our chapter members face to face, our officers face to face like this, and being able to talk with them, I think that it deepened the relationships between all of us, because it made it, to me, it made it a little bit more real that, man, these are human beings and there they are. And, sometimes we got kids in the background, sometimes we got dogs in the background. We see the dogs, we see the kids and all that kind of stuff. And it's just life. And so technology has really helped with that.
Thank you. And we have time for just one more question to the team. You won the Key Chapter Award, and we're so proud of you for doing that. How does that compare to other online chapters and other universities?
You guys go ahead.
Go ahead, Dr. Woods. I think you got this.
Okay.
Yeah, you got the lead.
Well, I was very, very proud of all of our chapter members. And, as much as this is about using technology, it also is about student success. And thinking about the chapter story for our chapter members now to be able to go out and say, we're the only online chapter to ever win this Key Chapter Award, and to be able to tell that story to employers and what to achieve that level of performance. I think that's a bonus to them for all of their efforts over this last year.
Thank you so much. We want to say thank you to our presentation presenters, Dr. Woods, Kat, and Kathy. What a wonderful acknowledgement. Great suggestions that you shared as well.